Hello, my name is Guy Glidden, and I am the Southeast Kansas Coordinator for Newman University. Today, I am providing you with a 3-part series on teaching as a career. And this is provided as a form of a screencast. And a screencast simply allows you to listen to my voice while you're watching a set of PowerPoint slides. So the first part is going to be a little bit about some questions that you should be asking about career searches, and that will take about 10 minutes. Then that will be followed with a section on some aspects of what's required to be a successful teacher. We do have some research on that question, and I think this would be helpful to you. And finally, since I identified myself as the Southeast Kansas Coordinator for Newman University, I would like to tell you how Newman University and Labette Community College work together to support this process of helping teaching in careers. So let's go on to part 1. And the thing I would like to talk with first is to talk a little bit about the process of doing career searches. As a community college student, you're an important part of your life. Regardless of your age, you're certainly looking at the aspect of how can I use my community college experiences and courses to help myself, better myself, find a job, find a career, find an occupation that's satisfying to me, that answers some of my questions and meets my needs. So basically, this is a little bit about this process, so let's talk about that. And the first thing I think I would want to focus on is, if I were in your shoes, what information do I need? Well, to get information, you've got to ask questions. So that leads to, what question should I ask to get this information, and where do I find that information? So asking the right question, identifying the right sources of the information, big part of the process. So let's see what we can do, and let's go a little more specific, and let's talk about 2 big questions for any career search. And let's just apply them to jobs in teaching or jobs in education. And of course, big issue in our society today would be, if I spend the money and resources and my time and energy to prepare for a career, a job, whether it's teaching in any other area, are there going to be jobs available? Am I going to complete this career program and find out there are opportunities to find jobs? And secondly, if I can find jobs, what about the matter of teacher compensation? Is it going to be worth my while? Am I going to find jobs that are going to help me to support my family, pay back my educational debts if I have any, and have what we in America have tended to say is the good life? Well, let's talk about those just very briefly and some examples here. First of all, let's talk about, you can find lots of national and Kansas sources of information on the internet. You can pull up anything from looking at jobs of education. Kansas State Department of Education would have information about jobs in Kansas, and there would be several websites that would be provided that would talk about national sources of information. In general, for Kansas and the nation, they're going to tell you that there are jobs in teaching available. It is a growth information in the sense that it does require prepared people. And another important thing it's going to tell you is that a lot of current teachers are advancing towards retirement age, because as you know, we go through career preparation, then we try to enjoy a career, then sooner or later we've got to slow down and we've got to leave that career because we want to try retire or do something different. So they're going to tell you specifically in Kansas that a high percentage of teachers are in an age where we think they're going to retire within the next 10 to 15 years. So this means there's going to be a continuing job sources available. Another thing that you should be doing, and I know that as a part of your Intro to Education course, you're expected to get out and do some interviews and ask some questions. And so you might want to be asking some questions for teachers and administrators in school districts in your local area. How many teachers does the Parsons School District or the Independent School District or the Labette County school system replace in a given year? How many did they replace last year? How many of those were teachers at different sorts? This is public information. So I would do some information and look to see what's available, and this would be a good place for you to start when you're going to be going out and asking some questions anyway. Here are some big questions that I would ask for your own personal research and things that you could find out when you're actually talking with teachers. And first of all, I would be asking people the question of what's positive about a teaching career. And a primary source that I would look to for that would be people who are currently successful teachers. And you're going to be able to find those because as part of your inquiry process for Intro to Education, I expect you're going to be doing some interviews. So when you visit schools, talk with teachers. What do they like about it? If a teacher's been in the school for 10, 15, 20 years, they must think it's a good job for them and they must have positive feelings about it. Well, what are some of the specific things they think are positive about it? Ask that question, make a list, match it up with the things that you would be positive about that. At the same time, let's not kid ourselves. Teaching is a stressful occupation. There are a lot of responsibilities. There are a lot of things to do. There are some long days because remember, teachers are not employed on an hourly basis. This is a contract career, so it means that in essence, you work until the job is done. So ask some of these same teachers that you're talking with. What about the stresses? What about the hard days? What about the days they don't like so well? And if you really want to become creative, see if you can get some names of some people who have left teaching. Because we do have, unfortunately, a loss of people from the teaching profession. People who leave because they are unsatisfied with teaching for one reason or another. Well, I don't want you to go into a teaching career with rose-colored glasses. I want you to go in with good, effective eyesight. So you need to ask some of those questions as well. So again, and I've covered that in questions 3 and 4, what would you learn from someone who's enjoyed a career in teaching? So let's review briefly about this section here that we've talked about here, and briefly we've talked about some important questions that you should be asking. And let's go back and reiterate here. What questions should I ask to get information, and where do I get the information? We've suggested that there will be some website information, and I suspect most of you are pretty familiar with going to the website and getting courses of information. So simply going to a search engine and asking questions is a good place to get some information. Compare sources. Always look for one source, but I would also encourage you to look for local sources of information. Local school districts, local teachers, find out what they have to say about the process. So let's end the process here, and when you're through with this process and through with maybe asking some questions and putting together some questions, you can go to the second phase of this presentation, which is all about what are some of the attributes of successful teachers. Thank you.